Good morning, and I'm Bob Pace, your host. And I have a secret for you. The secret is how to fight CPS and how to get your children back. And CPS stands for the Child Protection Services, which is a branch of social services. Its sole purpose is to protect our children and bring families back together. Because children belong with families, belong with their moms and dads, and so forth. Now, this show being live, it's broadcast via Facebook on YouTube. And we have a number for all of you listeners to call in. It's 888-888-6582. You can do two things with that number when you call in. Make sure you mention my name, Bob Pace, and that if you want to be a guest, like Sherry is on the show, you call in and schedule a time, and that's the office number, and they'll go ahead and schedule it. Two is that this show is hosted by Vincent W. Davis, a family law attorney with trial experience. And he has a lot of years experiencing uh, with getting children back, with fighting CPS. He has done lawsuits against CPS and won. He is in Southern California, like I am. The show is broadcast from Southern California. And well, we don't have sun today, but we have cloud. We just got through a big rainstorm. The rest of the country is doing the same. But this attorney, Vincent Davis, will offer a 30-minute up to an hour consultation with strategies of how to fight CPS and get your children back. And so he's a good attorney, and after you talk to him, you may want to retain him. Right now, he's in Northern California. Yesterday, the day before, he was in Oklahoma. So he does go around, but he's very experienced, and he will get your child back. So with that said, the other way you can communicate with the show, if you listen, you can also type in a text message. I will see at the lower half of my screen, and I'll try to answer your question. Go ahead and give your first name and the state you're calling from, and then text in the question. And so that helps me out, and I can answer the question. Okay, Sherry. So I'm going to welcome you to start. Ball's in your
Thank you
court.
so, thank you so much. I'm Sherry. I reside in Florida. I grew up in California. Back in 2014, my children were spending the night somewhere at their adult friend's house. They were kids, but my oldest daughter is involved in this. So, anyways, unfortunately, I wasn't at home, and my roommate told my children that I was missing, so they reported me missing. Well, CPS came and picked him up, um, took custody of him. When I did get home, because my girls had gotten home early before they came home early. So, anyways, needless to say, CPS got them. I got Baker acted, so I wasn't able to make it to the court. When I did make it there, my attorney I didn't know, he didn't advise me. He told me to go inside and just sign the thing, and I did. So, anyways, I was working my case plan, and my daughters got placed with a aunt on my youngest daughter's dad's side, her dad's. And so I was working my case plan and all that, but she was being controlling and not allowing any of my visits. So I went 3 months without visiting my children because I couldn't, and CPS didn't enforce it, but I didn't enforce it because I didn't realize that I had all these rights that I've been learning about in this last couple weeks. Like all of a sudden, the light has came down, and I'm not the only person in the world dealing with this. So I have taken them back to court. I've got 3 other times that I went to court. Charges up on the aunt for abusing my child, and she cut herself, and she got Baker acted. So I went to court. They ended up giving the aunt full discretion. Didn't even bother considering me, didn't offer me anything, didn't take away my rights. Now technically in Florida, in the the codes and the books and laws, it says after a year they're supposed to terminate my rights, but they didn't. Thank you. And then they ended up giving her back. And so I absolutely got no visits or phone calls whatsoever. So this is going on again. So then, like, within a year or two, she ran away and got Baker acted. There's so much. So, anyways, they ended up sending I went to court again. I took the lady to court again. And the father ended up taking custody. They gave the father custody. Then he ended up with criminal charges against our daughter, and they took her from him and gave me a case plan, sent her to an unlicensed foster home. When I told the caseworker that I didn't feel comfortable with that home, she agreed with me, but yet still left my daughter there for another year. So there's so much to this that I don't want to waste anyone's time. But
You're not wasting
they
anybody's time. You're doing fine. I do have some questions for you that when you get a moment, I'd like to ask them at the beginning so we don't get too far along because what I'm trying to understand is that, first of all, CPS is a complex agency, and they're not really for family reunification. They want to have the program, your children in custody, whether it's in a shelter, uh, a group home, foster care, or a family relative. As long as they keep them like that, they get money. It's a money making business, a billionaire business. It's lots of dollars. And I've found no difference whether this case, I assume, is in Florida. And I've talked to people from West Virginia, Utah, Texas, even the Indian reservation at Rosebud in South Dakota. And they all have something in common. They want to keep the children apart. There's sometimes very wrongly or false allegations. Now, going back to the beginning, you mentioned because you weren't home, CPS took your daughter from you.
two of my daughters, yes, sir,
Okay.
because
How old were these two daughters at the time?
um uh, the oldest was 14 and the youngest was 7. But I have
Okay.
5 children.
Well, I understand, but the law says any child under 18 has to be supervised, whether in school or whether somebody else is 18 or older. Where was your husband, or are you married?
No, I've never been married, just
So
to my
he's a
kids.
partner. Okay, where
No,
was he at the time? Oh, he's not a partner?
no, he was a roommate.
Oh, okay. And did he want to exercise a responsibility for watching the kids while you're away?
Yeah, the thing is that he did that he did it on purpose.
Okay.
I
So he had some vengeance against you and so forth. So
Yes,
initially, what was the ad? Was the child abused or neglected?
I was reported that I abandoned my babies.
So they were neglected. Okay. See, uh, CPS has said that there's what they watch for is two things: abuse or neglected. And abuse and neglected are sometimes stretched. Now, abuse can be physical, like banging a child's head against the wall or taking a hammer and hammering their nails down. That's kind of extreme cases of abuse. There, it can be a physical abuse where they use excessive corporate punishment or some type of harm to scare the child or something like that. And there's also a thing called sexual exploitation of children, which is a sad thing where parents use their children for gratification purposes or for selling pictures or for doing some extreme things. Then there, besides abuse, there's neglect. Now, neglect could be not watching your child, not supervising them. Also, neglect can be where they don't have clothing to wear, or there's dirty clothes, or they're not taken care of, they're not fed, and so forth. So, in your case, um, uh, they said because you abandoned your children, that's neglect. And again, they want to stretch it. And the allegations they made against you, you're guilty until you're proven innocent. So that's the sad part. They must have felt necessary to take your children out of your custody. Now,
I
at first, did they try to put him with a family member?
okay. Well, they took him and like I got Baker acted, so I didn't make it. And
What
yeah,
is
they
a
ended
Baker active? I don't understand the term
up.
Baker active is.
Well, because I the word, oh my goodness, I might as well kill myself now. They took my kids.
The
And so
emotion.
there when you like say that you're gonna self-harm or harm someone else or something, and so
Okay.
but the doctor released me that night. And technically, when you get Baker acted, you got to stay there 3 days. But the doctor released me that night because he knew. Even I stayed though, because I was informed to stay until the morning. But he realized that I didn't mean it. It's just that I got 5 kids. I've never been involved in. Here they take them, and so anyways, my daughter, they ended up giving my second oldest daughter, uh she got her the other day. I went to court last month, and to my surprise, my kids was there, and my daughter gets to stay with my other daughter. And so now she's finally safe. The case is still open. My daughter is 17 now, which she was 7. She's and I want to
So
go
for
to court.
10 years, you've been with CPS?
Yes, and they
Wow.
have not terminated my rights, but listen, you know what? I don't get to see my daughter. Literally, I have no relationship with her,
You don't
but
have
I got to
monthly visits?
no because no, and I'm not going to do it now. She's 17 and we got that alienation going on, parental, and so I want to work with her on a different. I'm not going to force my daughters to do
Oh, no,
anything.
you don't need to do that. But the sad part about alienation is a real popular word. At first, you think it's alienating between two parents, one parent pitying the other parent and using their kids and alienating their kids from the parent. But it's also alienation is used by CPS. They want to alienate the kids from the parents and hope that they'll keep the kids longer. Now, for 10 years, they're getting all that money from the state and federal government. They're making
And
their coffers really rich.
I'm supervised, and nobody can supervise me to see my kid to make sure I'm not talking now, because now is where I got a whole different level now. My daughter is safe, and I got all I need more, but I got all the court papers. I got all the case plans. I've got all the codes for state law,
Yeah.
I got it, and I need to go to court, and I don't know. I want to close this case and place permanent guardianship
You're
with
going to need a good attorney. And the reason why I'm
nobody will
saying
talk.
that, the attorneys that they give you are called public defenders,
Yeah.
and
10
they
years
have
I've had
20
him.
cases. They don't care about you as an individual, they don't care about family reunification. They're in cahoots
I
with the
have a
court, and the judge is in cahoots. You'll probably find the judge, his background, if you look it up, isn't in family law. My judge was about how to do property damage and damage from property. That's his experience. He had no idea how to put a family back together. And then I found out the courts are in cahoots with each other. The judge has golf with the attorneys, with the therapists, the social workers, the counselor. It's like a whole family. Now, does your court allow you to be in the courtroom during the whole proceeding, or only come in when they ask you to? How's the court
No,
do?
I'm allowed to go in there when it goes, but my attorney hushes me up all the time. And as a matter of fact, I have an email where he meant to send it to the other people that's involved, the legal people, but it accidentally got slipped to me, and he is demeaning me and talking down to me.
Yeah,
And
you
he
need to replace him first of all, and you also need to hire attorney. It's like a doctor. If you're going to need open heart surgery, you're going to need a doctor. You can't do it yourself. I know you know the codes and you probably researched and know the things,
but
but
I
attorneys that are paid money, that the driving force is they get paid the money, will work for you. If they don't, you fire them.
I
Attorneys are
know,
a
but
dime a dozen.
I
But
don't have the money.
well, that's the biggest problem. I had to do my house. I had to do. I lost my house because of it, because I had to do tons of money to get a good attorney, and so I know what it is. I had to borrow money from my family and everything else, and so
I
you don't have money, you're stuck with the damn public defender. And all you can do is you request a replacement of the public defender. Again, you may take 5 public defenders to finally get one that will work for you somewhat, but if they have 20 cases, they only have 5 minutes for your time.
I know
And
that.
and the reason why you probably can't talk in court is they don't want to disrupt the court. And so in my case, they never allowed us parents in there, except at the time when they want to read the outcome. They never let you in there. They hear how your attorney performs. I was stuck with public defenders that just ruined me. I mean, I thought I could trust the system. I thought I could trust people. I had to get paperwork from the clerk's office to show all the stuff, and I found stuff that they never sent me and stuff. And you probably know the same thing too. Now, you don't have money, so you're doing your best you can, and now your daughter's 17. They're going to try to have her uh, stay up to she's 18, is what they're
Yeah,
going to
they
try.
asked my daughter to adopt my daughter. They My daughter, she called, like they called me, they're like, Mom, I got the one of the other ones that was part of this alien nation. She just had a baby. She's been calling me. And they're all on board, and they all realize that we got this distance between us, but they realize that the damage that this county did to our family. And so now, my daughter is safe, and we'll work through our family problems, but I need this county out. And they said that next month is the status hearing, and then the month after that is a permanent placement. And so I just want to hurry up, and I want to address the court or the judge next month and tell him that I want this case closed or dismissed, because I'm taking this county and the foster parents, I'm suing them. I'm suing them for the mental damage that they caused my daughters.
Well, you can sue them, and believe me, you can, but you're going to need an attorney. And some attorneys who do it pro bono, meaning they're going to take a percentage of what you win. If you win $1 million,
I
they
They
will
could
get
have it all.
30-40%. So
They could
it,
have it all. Because if
I know that.
somebody,
I know that. But they're going to want to get it, some initiative, but they got to hear your case and go through the details.
yes, I would
I
love
just
for somebody to.
You just got to get the right person, and there's a lot of them. I mean, it's really hard because I know when you search on the internet, you need to find an attorney first that is a family law attorney with trial experience and has fought cases against CPS. Those are the 3 things you need to make sure they can do. And then you interview 5 of them, and then you decide which one you want to get and what are the pros and cons. But it's going to take time, and time is not on your side. Now, your daughter's 17. Why would they be permanent? If she turns 18, she's on her own.
Because they want my daughter to adopt her. My daughter's like, no, that's my sister.
What do you
My
mean?
mom
Wait,
is
wait,
our
wait. They
mom.
want your daughter to adopt her younger sister?
Yeah, and you know what else the CPS lady told my daughter? The youngest one wants to get a belly button pierced, and she's 16. And the CPS lady told the oldest daughter that's got guardianship of her, said, don't ask permission, ask forgiveness. It was hush hush. I was like, you guys, I was so shocked when I walked into that courtroom. And I heard my grandbabies out there, and I was like, man, that sounds like my grandbabies. And I'm sitting there. My youngest daughter walks in. I didn't even recognize her. I haven't seen her since the last
16
court
now?
date.
She's 16?
She's 17.
Oh,
She t-
okay. You have 2 daughters, right?
well, I have 4 daughters and a son.
Okay, and how old are these all 4 siblings?
Okay, my oldest is 34, 35.
Okay,
And then the second one, she's 28, 29, 30, 30.
okay, okay.
And then I got my son is like 25, and then my second is 23, and then my very youngest is 17, and then I got 16 grandbabies.
Okay, but your youngest is 16. So,
17.
oh, 17. So, who's going to adopt her at 17?
The CPS worker wants my 20 something year old daughter to adopt her.
That doesn't make sense because they're so close in age. What about your son that's 30? He wouldn't be interested in
Oh,
adopting her? Do
oh,
you
any of my daughter. I've got court papers where all my kids wanted to step up and they turned my kids down as adults. But right now, my son, he's got 6 kids at home and they're all under 8. So I don't think he
okay.
wants.
Well, no. But is he supporting himself and taking care of his family?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
something that the courts can look. I mean, you sound like you've raised 4 of your children, and they're all very successful, right?
Well, two of them was in foster care, the
Oh,
youngest two, but um their dad had a part to do with the older girls. The one that I raised the most is my son, because the girls, the younger ones was 14 and 7, and the older ones, they lived with their dad, and shared, and different states we had shared. But
yeah.
he also did some alienation, but my girls have been back to me since,
Well,
like,
why would they want to adopt your 17-year-old daughter who's going to turn 18 and she's going to be on her own? I mean, I don't understand why that less than a year someone wants to adopt somebody.
don't know.
Are they trying to get the money? Because your daughter who's 17 will continue to receive money from the state until she turns 18.
There's no trust fund, there's no nothing.
Well, no,
There's
but there's funds that the CPS gets.
nobody, oh, yeah, CPS gets it.
See, CPS, and again, I referred to the money making thing. It's a money making business. The CPS workers in California are very young, very immature, no experience on family reunification. They don't require them to say spend 10 years with a seasonal caseworker to learn. They're just thrown in there. Mine was 22 and worried about a Gucci purse or BMW car and the bonuses you get for trying to make false allegations and everything. And mine was because my family members on my wife's side said false allegations, and they did false allegations, and that was because, in my case, I had lost my job at age 60. And at 65, that's when they started to interfere with my life. And I was trying to look for work. And at the same token, my parents were dying and I was taking care of them, and I had two things working against me. And then, I had to hire an attorney, and then I, had to sell my home. And by the time the thing was over, my home was gone, and I lost all this money. But my two sons returned. My daughter, who was 12 at the time, divorced her parents because she was buffaloed or alienated from her parents and thinking that it's better to be adopted. And then she changed her name and sealed up her birth certificate, all at the urgency of my wife's family, and all because of CPS that was corrupt. I mean, um, I got my two sons back, but one was turned 18, and so he just says, "I want to go home," and the other one is 12, and he says, "I want to go home." And so, uh, the attorney did help. We tried to save our daughter, but she was being heavily adopted by my wife's sister, and then she lied in court. Social worker lied in court, and then the case was over, and then she went for adoption. So all that for nothing. And I didn't see my daughter for 12. She's 21 now, but I had no visits with my daughter. My wife had a little bit of visits, but then they stopped her visiting. And so she's completely alienated herself from her mom and dad, as well as the family members and so forth. So what I'm trying to understand, if you don't have the money, how are you going to sue the social services?
because I feel like the evidence is going to talk. It's going to speak for
Yeah,
itself.
but you got to find an attorney that wants to be in your court. That's going to be the hard thing to do.
I don't expect this case. I didn't know that I could even do that, but I know
Yeah.
that I don't expect it to happen overnight. It could take 10 years like it
Well, it
has.
will. The lawsuit, it could take some time, and but you definitely need an attorney to fight that one. Now, what's remaining? You want to stop the adoption of your older daughter, who's I guess 23, adopting a 17-year-old. So there's 5 years difference.
Well, she's 29 or 30. She
Okay.
was born in 1992, but I'm not trying to stop that. She ain't going to
Oh,
do it. And I'll never give up my rights as but the thing is
when
like
you
when we
adopt
go
it, you do give up your rights.
I know, but nobody's going to adopt my kid.
Oh, you
I'm
said
not
I'm confused. You said that your 17-year-old wants to be adopted by your older daughter.
no, CPS wants my daughter to adopt my 17-year-old.
Oh, well, if CPS wants that, that may not happen. I mean, you
It's
can.
not gonna.
Okay,
No,
okay,
sir.
okay. And again, I don't. They're just trying to pursue it to get as much money as they can from you. It's all a money thing, and they're probably very corrupt in your state of Florida. Like it seems like with every social worker, I never
They
hear a good story.
Listen, they took my kids away from me because I spent the night somewhere and they came home early. But the caregiver has she abused her twice and there's court papers that she abused her, but yet CPS still allows my daughter to go visit them without supervision. But yet I've never put my hands on my kids like that. Now, don't get me wrong, I might have tapped them on the butt when they no or but I don't I'm
Okay.
not. I'm more of a talker. And
Well, it's not wrong to do corporate punishment, but excessive corporate punishment can be bad. If they're leaving
she
welts and stuff like that.
the abuse that was at the aunt's house was so bad that my daughter tried to kill herself and she got Baker acted and CPS still sent her back there.
Hmm.
They begged me to give up my rights and allow that aunt to. They wanted her to adopt my daughter and move to Alabama, and I said absolutely not. I said if she goes to Alabama, I'll never be able to protect her, and I barely can protect her anyways because I can't see her. But what I can do, I'll do, and so I refuse that.
Mm-hmm.
And but yet they could beat her, abuse her mentally. They got her diagnosed as a psychotic thing because taking care of the person had she breeds dogs, so my 11-year-old daughter at that time had to take care of all these animals and they passed away, so the caregiver took her and told the therapist that she didn't care or anything like that, so they put her on this medicine for I got the name of it, but
Uh huh. Uh huh.
she's been not take but she doesn't take it, so now they're making sure that she could get out of not taking it.
Well, is there anything during your experience that you could share with us that worked for you? Was there anything good that worked out of this case?
Yeah, I haven't lost my rights. My baby girl has got a relationship with all her siblings now and her nieces and nephews, and I don't know what I did to be able to hang on to my rights as a mom, even though I wasn't allowed to ever practice them. But I really don't know I don't know. I don't know.
Hmm.
I
Well, initially, when you were brought into the system, um, did they come out to your home to visit you first? I mean, I mean,
no.
did they take the child out of school? Is that how they got
No,
her?
they went and they took. I don't see. I don't even honestly know. I don't know if they
Did
came
they
and
go in
got
your
my.
house and did they enter your house?
I wasn't there. I don't know, and I haven't. I've always been told don't discuss nothing, with the children. And now it's starting to I'm not one to try and get to my kids emotionally. I just want to be a part of their life, and I care about them. So I'm not going to try and like hurt them in any way. And discussing certain things could bring that up. Like I'm trying to explain to my kids, please do not talk to the youngest one about parental alienation because they've also been through it too. And you know what I mean? That's something we'll just get through that another time. Don't force her and tell her that I'm not a bad person and that she's only believing lies because we don't even want her to think about that, at
Yeah.
least right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I just I just want to go to court and make sure that my one daughter has permanent guardianship because we'll work through our stuff later. But now, I had to like bend over and do everything that, the other caregivers didn't allow me to do. Like I wasn't allowed to speak up. So I sat down, now that she's out of that care, she's in my daughter's care. I know that she won't be abused. And I want my youngest out of the state system,
Mhm.
and I'll do that other stuff another time. It's just that
Well, how were the social workers? We'd like to maybe hear your experience with the social workers. Was it one, two, or three? How many social workers? Two.
three, three.
And were they rotated in or out?
Each time, no, each time I opened a case, I got a new one. The first one was because I had her. She came and got my kid, so that was the first initial one. And
Yeah.
she she was young, didn't, and of course the caregiver, I mean, I'm 53, but I don't feel 53, I don't know. Like, they just didn't take me into anything. They looked at the aunt like she was everything. The background check, she's got 4 domestic violence. She's
Mhm.
got, they've got all kinds of history of stuff, but basically she wanted to alienate me and so she could be in control, and the caseworker just backed her up. I didn't get visits because it was during the holidays. The second time I took her to court because she didn't want her and did all this, that second caseworker took her side and said, "Oh, well, you know how it is. Parents, they say that they don't want them, but then they turn around and they want them." And I'm like, I'm that parent. Do you know when this last time that my youngest daughter got taken away from the aunt caregiver, I am the one that had to be her shoulder to cry on and help her to get through the emotional feelings that she was feeling from abusing my daughter and getting my daughter taken away from her. I had to be her shoulder.
Wow. Wow.
And now my daughter gets to, like, the one was telling me, yeah, she went and she visited, the aunt last week. And I said, really? With no supervision? Which I ain't trying to make my daughter do anything. I told my daughter, that's your home, you got custody of her right now, you guys do you. Don't I'm not trying to get involved. But and she goes, well, da, da, da. And I said, no, listen, because the aunt was trying to give the youngest daughter advice, and my daughter, when she got to stand up and finally use her voice, and she said, you know what, Aunt so and so, this is my body, my choice. Now, granted, she ended up going through and getting the birth control implant thing, but she was able to use her voice against her aunt for once. And then she called my daughter, my other, and said, Sissy, can you please come get me?
Yeah.
And I agreed with that. I don't know if I'm wrong or right, but I don't want them to stop visits with her. I
Right.
want my daughter to be able to stand up to her aunt and voice her opinion and be independent and strong like
Okay.
we
I'm
are.
going to stop for a moment because I have to interject um, uh, this show here. Again, this is
Okay.
Bob Pace, your host. We have our guest, Sherry Cave, who's telling about her involvement with CPS and her family members. The show is The Secret How to Fight CPS and Win. It's hosted by Vincent W. Davis, a family law attorney with trial experience, and that he has experience in going all over the United States. He works out of Southern California, right now. Today, he's up in Northern California on a case. Um, he is available by phone, 888-888-6582. To talk to him, he'll give you a 30-minute to an hour a strategy about how to fight CPS and get your children back. If you like what you uh, hear from him, and he can be retained, and that's one thing you have to realize is that you need a lawyer to fight in CPS. A lawyer, not a public defender, but a lawyer that will fight for your case because they're the ones that know uh, the knowledge of the laws. They know how to navigate through the system. CPS is uh, very complex entity, and they'll do everything they can do to uh, keep your children in custody as long as they can because there's a money thing on there. Now, if any of you have experienced things with CPS, good or bad, I'd love to hear good stories as well as bad stories. You can call in to set up a time, 888-888-6582. Make sure you mention my name, Bob Pace, and you can schedule it. It's the office phone number, and they will help you. Also, during this show, you can text me uh, through the show any questions you may have that you want to have answered, and I can stop and we can try to answer your questions. So, I like Sherry to continue with her story here, and she wants to fight uh, and sue CPS. She feels that she has a good case to do so. Um, what I'm seeing right now is that if your daughter turns 18, when it's next year or this year,
Yeah,
2024?
January. She turned 17 this month.
Okay, so a year from now, she will be 18. What is her plans? Is she going to go to college? Is she in high school or?
No, her and the other daughter's talking about that. But she doesn't want to do any of that. Like no. Now the other one, she was all college. You couldn't even pay her to stay home. She was a straight A student. But the
Okay.
youngest one, she just wants to do it and graduate and move on.
Does she have an idea what she'd like to do in life?
In all honesty, sir, I don't know. I don't know. I don't get to talk to her. I don't know.
Okay, that's the sad part because one thing parents are born without a manual of how to raise children. They try to do their best from their experience as a child, how their parents treated them, and they try to do the same thing. I know every parent I've talked to loves children, and they have children for various reasons, and they try to do their best. But like I said, with no manual, they sometimes are hiccups. Maybe they don't do the things right. But that's
I know that I'm sorry. I know that I needed a wake up call. I
right,
did. I
right.
mean, they were,
We
but
we all have hiccups in life, and there's nothing wrong with taking parenting classes or try to improve yourself to take care of your child because, in the long run, families need each other, grandchildren, children, cousins, and things like that. It's all part of getting together on a cookout, a Fourth of July cookout, or
CPS took
kind of celebration at
so much
Christmas,
away.
things like that. They need that touch. I mean, and it's a shame because CPS does try to protect the children, but sometimes they don't do a very good job. I mean, I've heard horror stories where a child is being taken by the wrong parent and abused further, or abused in foster care. Foster care, you know, are parents that can't have children that want more children or would like to adopt children and they have alternative motives, but they can be also bad. My son tried a foster care and he was abused. And it was sad because he was like, he was 9 years old when he was taken in the system, so he's young there. And so they tried my best to do with my older son, who was 24, and he was like 15 at the time, to try to say, well, we need to take him out of private school. I had been putting him in private school because he wanted to be a robotic engineer. And so I put him in the best school in my area. And I was having payments made so he continue that, but they didn't want to continue that. They said, oh, he can go to public school. We'll teach him how to do banking and balance his checkbook. I said, my son is taking calculus. My son takes chemistry, physics. He takes engineering class, robotics. He already knows about a bank account. I got him one when he was in middle school. So it's not like, it's so funny when CPS they equate, they don't know. And my family, by the way, was very studious family, very intelligent, well fed. They had the time of life. We had Disneyland passes, before my job was gone, and so those are expensive things. We'd go to Disneyland all the time. We'd go on trips and camping and stuff. We had Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts. We had soccer. We had sports and athletic stuff. They ruined all that for my children. They did not. CPS did not give anything help. They put them in a group home run by Boys Town, and Boys Town was terrible because they're geared up with kids that don't have parents, and they couldn't understand seeing both parents want to come over to visit their child, and they told the kids not to put their hands to their side, not to hug your parents, not to love. They tried to destroy my kids, and my kids are still suffering. I know my daughter that divorced is suffering. I hear bits and pieces because I encourage my boys, even though they're divorced from the sister, to see them. And my boys are still experiencing things, uh, you know, uh, 6 years later, they're still experiencing things so bad. They've messed up one my oldest son too, so he's messed up because of social service. My kids weren't messed up. We were in a hard time. No one offered to help with, hey, we'll help you with your parents' belongings. We'll pay for the storage fees, or we'll help you that. They didn't. They didn't want to do that. They didn't want to help you, or we'll offer you a job or something like that. And it's very hard at age 60. Well, I'm 74 now, and it's hard to find a job. Still, I'm looking for right now. I had a job for a year and a half, but they ran out of work for me. They said, I think it's because of your age, because they couldn't find anything wrong with me physically or anything, and I was performing excellent. So they used the guys that, oh well, we have no work for you, and so it's a sad thing. But I'm determined to get a job. The way the system is, the way the government is, they don't pay. It's like I lost. I mean, I had done something wrong. My dad had retirement till he died. I mean, he had a home till he died. And I got a home earlier than my dad did. I had 3 or 4 homes, and I had excellent jobs and so forth. I wanted to retire at 55, let alone now my retirement is talking. Well, maybe at the year when I'm 105 years old, I'll think about retirement. I still got 30 years left. I feel that I want to, and as I say, all my children are doing great. I mean, they have no hiccups except my youngest son, not youngest, second youngest son, who's 24, is having some hiccups. And it's not bad hiccups, it's just emotional hiccups of what the social service and CPS did. There are a drama, emotional game playing that CPS does. And alienation is a word that should be used not with parent alienation, it should be social worker alienation, it should be CPS alienation,
when I
family
talk
alienation.
when I talked to the caseworker yesterday, because I'm trying to get all the files that
Right.
I, she kind of rubbed in my face how she gets to see my youngest daughter at the convenience store now that she's in this county because she was out of county. I'm on the phone. I'm sorry. It's okay. Um, and she gets to see my daughter, and she gets to hug her and all that. And I know that it was kind of like a jab in my face because she knows I don't have a relationship with my daughter.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I hate to say that there is some sadness that goes on. If you want to take a moment to take care of your dog, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Go ahead and take care of your dog, Sherry.
I did. I just want them out. Actually,
Yeah.
they're not mine. They're
Oh,
my roommates.
yeah. It's okay. It's okay. Um, you know, it's part of our life here, but I'm finding that our government is so corrupt. And the one agency that you want to believe in is very, very corrupt. Social services has been really, really, really bad. Um,
Well, I want to take them, and if I end up in, and I don't care, but I want it to be known what they did. Like they need to be held accountable for what the lack of stuff that they did. You know what I mean? And personally, I don't think the judge here, I think because my case is so long and here and there and there that he doesn't really know what's going on. I think when I go and I actually know what I'm supposed to do and I tell and he knows that he's going to be blown away because he yells at these people all the time for not doing their job, you know. But I personally don't blame the judge. Right now, I've come to the conclusion that my attorney has not been defending me whatsoever. He
Well,
didn't
he's
even
a
take
public defender. You can't expect a public defender to do anything, to be honest with you. He's going to take the easiest route, something that doesn't require much time and it's not in your best interests. And I'm
the
sad to tell you that, but that's how all the public defenders, I went through 5 public defenders and it was worthless each time. And my courtroom, we weren't allowed in the courtroom except when they wanted to read something. We had to sit out in the hallways. And the hallways have no chairs to sit. They make it very difficult. If you notice that when you come into your first contact CPS, it's a plain room. The Taj Mahal, where the director is and all the supervisor stuff is beautiful. They don't bring you over there. They don't want you to see that. They don't want to see they have a very expensive building. They try to depict that it's a very sterile thing. When you meet at these places that have these office areas, they're confronted, they have the bailiff or the sheriff there. They have, uniform. It's like a prison. It's almost like CPS is a prison you're going to visit your kids in. My kids were abused in the system. They're abused by the group home. They're been abused by foster care. They were told lies by social services, just like you probably know all this. And my civil rights were violated so badly, so badly. And I do have a case, a strong case. I was told I was going to do it, but it hasn't materialized. And I'm just thinking that, oh boy, I'm on this show because I'm trying to expose and help others like yourself. I'm not an attorney, but I talk from experience of what to do and not to do. And it's really it's really hard reliving your story every day. I do this 6 days a week for an hour, and every guest I have on there has been different. I don't have anything they're common. I've yet to hear a story that, oh, we were investigating allegations and we put our children were not taken from us, and we were told what was wrong and we corrected that, and now our children are back together. I yet to hear those kind of cases from CPS.
I did have that right here. My daughter, I this is my roommate Debbie. I look at her like a mom, and my daughter, my youngest, back when she was 6, we was over here and she was swimming and she had the goggles on and she got a bruise from the goggles and she went to the school right down the road and they called CPS on me.
They're required
CPS
by
came
law.
to my house. They seen my daughter. Yeah, they seen the bruise. They're like, they
Right.
got the story. They closed the case. And then next thing I know, what, a year later, I I mean that was good.
Well, yeah, I
I
mean, there are stories like that. Again,
never hurt my kids, and
professionals like teachers, policemen, social, all those people are required by law to report any kind of bruising. If the child's hair looks messy, they don't look dressed right, they don't show up at school, things like that. They're required to report it. And in the end, when they report it, uh, it's allegations, and those allegations are true until they're proven not allegations. And there's that investigation period. But I hate to say it, is that with money at hand, they're not going to follow the rules and the things there. They're going to want that money. They want that money so
well,
bad.
they messed up by not terminating my rights, and I'm not even trying. But like, listen, you guys didn't even terminate my rights after a year. That is your protocol. That is what your book says. That's what all my papers say. Each 3 case plans, each one say that if I don't do this, that I lose my rights. I
But you
haven't
did
lost.
do it. You must have did it. Okay, didn't you do it right?
No, they never, first of all, they never sent me the case plan. And then when I went to go do it, because two different caregivers denied me visits. And so this caseworker right now, which the other ones did their part too, but we're talking about right now, she didn't enforce it. But it says right there, she has to enforce my visits. And they were supposed to give me intense reunification without anybody. We were supposed to kind of like go and just be secluded alone and do these classes and talk or whatever intensive reunification means.
Right.
Nothing,
Well,
nothing.
some of the things I want to see changed, and one of the things is that when there's allegations made, they should not be consumed uh, guilty. They should be you should be innocent until you're proven guilty. That's one thing's got to be changed. The second thing is that you need to have weekly meetings if you're separated from your kids and separated from, and then it can be weekly meetings only with your kids and the parents if both parents are involved, and then um, the, uh, the lawyers, the therapists, all those they meet together and they discuss it. And that's true about anything. If you don't have meeting together or at separate sides or through video cameras or hidden, there's no transparency. The kids don't know what's going on. The kids are being coached by CPS. They say they're worried about the parents coaching the kids. There's a lot more coaching by CPS than is with the
I
parents.
know, I
And
know.
the kids are being said there's something wrong with mom and dad. And they say negative things. They try to really alienate the kids from the parents. They try to alienate the kids from the parents' family members. Family members try
Yeah,
to
me.
alienate the kids from the parents because of jealousy, because they want something. My wife's family members wanted to adopt our children because they're beautiful. I mean, you know, they don't they don't need any attention. They don't have anything wrong physically, mentally. They excel in school with A's and B's, and they accelerate in sports and activities. They're very social, outgoing people. So, and we would love to have children like that. They know about manners, yes sir, no sir. They know about greetings, how to show love, about buying cards, making cards for family members, things like that. They know about that. They know about a lot of things, and it's sad. It's sad because they see something like that, and it's just it's CPS. You know, they talk about exploitations of children sexually by the people in the market where kidnaps or kids are kidnapped. Social services and CPS kidnap kids.
Yeah,
They kidnap kids and they do it for alternative measures. Their whole purpose is to see how long. In your case, I cannot believe it's been 10 years you're still involved with them. That is, mine
I'm
was 3 years, and I thought that was long.
I'm
And
really happy because I haven't lost my rights, which I told them you can never take away the fact that that's my daughter. But if I lost my rights, I wouldn't have been able to stand up and, you know what I mean, still be a
yeah,
part
I
of
know
it.
it's like it's really. I'm surprised you not run across an attorney. Attorneys listen to the show,
But I
so
hope somebody calls me. You could
yeah,
have it all.
yeah. So if they call that number, they can probably try to get a hold of you. But yeah, this has been a tough time for you, and you need to do that lawsuit. You sound like
Yeah.
you have a good case of it because, by
Oh,
the way,
yes.
your paperwork, if you're missing anything, go to the court clerk office and they have records of everything. And if you don't have the funds to pay for copies because they charge $1 a page or some
No,
outrageous price,
it's 10
they'll give
cents.
it free.
I've gone.
They'll give it free and
They
take that
won't.
paperwork. They by law they have to. You
I
have
said
to
that.
know the law. By law, they have to give it's a record. You're entitled to that record, and that way you can highlight it and say, "Oh, well, that's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong," and then
Thank
you have
you.
to use it. And you
I've
have
been doing that.
I'm
Thank you,
sorry,
sir.
what?
I've been doing that. I've been doing that. I just
Oh,
did that last night because I've
good.
been trying to like write down things to say to you. And I actually thought maybe I was going to talk to Mr. Davis. So I didn't want to get all
Yeah,
off track. So I would write down exactly the things I wanted to
that was
address
good
and stuff.
planning on your part. You can highlight those things to bring up. If you
I
highlight
did.
one color and then other things that maybe one color could represent something that is a lie, another
I
color
did.
could represent that's a hiccup in your life, you know.
You are the best. I
And so you're going to be fine. You're on the right track, and you're on the right track, and you get it. But you do need to get an attorney, and it's really important.
I got.
We have about 5 minutes left in this show
I
here.
do need to what?
We have 5 minutes left, and about 1 minute mark, I'll want to speak again about show. What would you
Anyways, you're the
like
best,
to relate
Bob.
to the people talking to you? It's okay. What would you like to tell the people out there?
Hang in there. Yeah. Just learn all your rights and stand up for them, and don't let them do to you and take your rights away, because I didn't know. I just did not know I had all these things that I could have stood up and fought for, because I was trying to, but none of my words mattered because I didn't know exactly how to handle it. And now I do, from you, Bob, and from Davis and Grace and all of you, because I watch all of you guys.
Okay. Well, I'm hoping that something out there enlightened that, one of the first steps, if you get ever involved, and you don't have to say anything to CPS. You're not required by law to say anything. Yes, your children can be interviewed in school, but the parents got to be present, not in with the interview, but nearby. And they did that with my kids. They went to school, wanted to interview them, but we were called there. We didn't know what was going on. It was all said and done. The kids said, "There's nothing going on. We have plenty of food. Utility bills are being paid. We have gas, electric. Yeah, dad's going through a hard time looking for work. Yeah, my grandfather and grandma are dying. Yes, they knew, and they rest assured. So for a long time, it was like 6 months that CPS was trying to get into me, and they used a trickster. They used a trick. What they did is they had a detective follow me, and then the detective used a police car to pull me over for alleged violation that wasn't true, but it stopped me because I wouldn't stop for an unmarked car. And I did not know the law says they have to have a court order signed by a judge specifically stating the person and what they're looking for before they enter your home. I opened my home up. They saw my parents' belongings. They had code enforcement. They had people, firemen, measuring the smoke detectors, how close they were, whatever. It was stupid. They were looking for anything, and they couldn't find anything. The only thing they charged me was neglect. Neglect of my parents' belongings. And they were afraid that my parents' belongings would attack and hurt my children. And all there were is boxes and furniture stacked because I had no money to put them in storage. And so I was dealing with that, sorting through that and everything, using my home. And believe me, our home was beautiful. The people that invaded our home had combat boots and put mud everywhere, broke bamboo chairs. They didn't care. They said, "Wow, we've never seen these homes like these." Because I lived a mile from the beach, and my home was beautiful. I mean, it was it was sad. It was sad because me. I mean, I wasn't poor at the time. I mean, I was poor because I'd run out of my savings. I'd lasted about 5 years before I ran out of money, and so that was really hard. And so anyway, we are fast approaching. We got 1 more minute. You want to say something more, Cheryl?
Sure. Thank you so much, Bob, for
Sure.
having me on here, and thank you for letting me talk. And you guys have validated all my feelings that I've been feeling, and I
Good.
love that you guys are out here putting this information out for everybody. And if I could learn how to be a part of your guys' team over here in this county,
Yeah. Yeah.
I would love to.
Well, you're welcome to come on our show. And at this time, I'd like to talk about our number and our attorney, Vincent W. Davis. He is a family law attorney. He's a professional. He has trial attorney experience. He can sue CPS. He's done so. He's won cases. The number to call in is 888-888-6582. It's the office. Make sure you tell them that Bob Pace sent you, and then schedule a time if you want to be a speaker or want to hire a attorney. He'll give you a 30-minute to 1 hour consultation on the strategies of how to fight CPS and get your children back, because we all love our children. We may have hiccups in life, and but there's nothing wrong with having a hiccup. Again, we're not born with a manual, and we're not trained or educated in raising children. We use common sense, but the agency does not use common sense. I don't know if CPS is brainwashed to common sense or not, but sometimes you would think they have common sense. So get out and vote. This is election year. We need to get judges in the courtroom that are family law attorneys. We need them professional judges that believe in family reunification. Families should be reunited first. All efforts should be made to get the family together with the family members. Whether you're married or have a partnership or whatever relationship, a kid needs a mother and father full time for their life until they're 18. I mean, they need that experience. I've yet to meet one kid that never wanted to have a parent. And I never met one parent that never wanted to have a child. If they have a child, and they're blessed with it. So all you out there, we need to change the rules and make it better. And so with that, I'm going to sign off, and I hope the new year is successful and brings you much happiness, and that you don't give up getting your children back. And please listen again or call in, and we'd love to hear the story. Again, thank you, Sherry.
Thank you.
I'm going to sign off. Bob Pace signing off.
Have a good